Welcome back. Happy to be here. So glad to be live today. I'm Margot Master, your Heartfelt CFO, and I always look forward to these lives and an inspirational way to make sure to give value and really to share different things for the real estate industry so that we can always have the most cutting edge information and financial information around the industry. And what I'll say is, this morning when I woke up, I was actually thinking about today's live. And what I said is that in this live where I really wanted to put forth around how this also helped my life and shaped it. And I'm like a living, breathing example of a lot of the things that I share in my lives and in my teachings in our systems and strategies that I've done for over the past decade and more. And I can't wait to share this. And today we're actually going to talk about what real financial management looks like in real estate business. When I started this industry years and years ago, it started off with like feeling it needed to be like this perfect painted picture. And I remember the day when I decided that I wanted to go into the real estate industry and talk about how my services and really dive in around business tax and all of the in between. All of these different things were happening around the accounting jargon. And I saw things in my own life and I was like, you know what? This is like really the best industry that could take it on and really use it. And financial management doesn't always look the same. And I mean by that is like in our personal life, it can look one way, and then in our business life, it can look another way. But the thing is that how you do one thing is how you do another. And most businesses, and even in our personal life, it's not around always the missing numbers. It's really around the ongoing visibility. It's the leadership during the year. It's the structural needs behind the growth. And it's actively overseeing the full picture. In case you are new to my channel, welcome. If you've been here, you're on a replay, welcome back. And I'm so excited to have you. And I want to just share, for those who are new, a little bit about me. I didn't follow the traditional path in accounting. I took more of a holistic spiritual realm field around it in terms of like what was working for me, what I saw working for clients. And what I saw was that in a lot of different places, money was emotional, business ownership was emotional, and how we can take those things to really shape our decisions and move forward, because every story shapes our decisions. And what I did is that I built a ecosystem and a ladder and a signature method for real estate owners and investors to be able to make confident decisions, build structural growth, and not only build it, also support it, and that it's always going to be there to help no matter what. I was actually sharing a story with my assistant this morning, and I was explaining to her that, there were certain things on my path that I did because I was all in on myself. And believe it or not, I may not have thought through every single thing at length around the financial component of what it meant really to uphold it. But when I made certain decisions, it was like that I knew I can pay it and I knew I was meant for it. But necessarily like how it was going to fit into my picture, I didn't really even let it own me because I knew that my systems were always strong enough to grow around where I was going. And recently, now in December 25, I bought my second home. And buying another home is different than being like a passive investor in a building, which I also am, and owning my business in addition. And the homes for me ended up being different because there's like way more to do's. So I live in one of the homes and I'm a landlord in the other one. And it's almost like I live in both because I'm still responsible for all of the bills, even though someone pays the rent. And you have the repairs and all of these things to do. And it's like, how is it going to be upheld in all of these things? And I recently just started to realize even more. I was like, whew, okay, like the field that I have in the world is like lifting every day and it's like a lot. And some of the things, I'll be honest with you, for myself, like I was pushing off, or I was like, it's going to go away. Like maybe I don't have to do it, but it was all still there. So it was like, how does it really fit into the picture? And the real problem is that reports may exist, taxes may get filed, but decisions, right? Like when you first take things on, they feel heavy. The visibility could be unclear. The cash flow could be uncertain. So in some ways, all of these things are still following you. And I'm explaining to you that this happened for me too. But I did trust my numbers so that I can do it, because I knew my structure was going to hold me. And I had to recurate my structures to uphold now another property, or like a different team member, and all of these different things. So most businesses think the management means bookkeeping is completed, check. Taxes are filed, check. But what's really happening is that we're restructuring team roles, correcting scope creep, simplifying systems, and protecting your own capacity more intentionally. And I went through this personally more. I think I've been going through this probably longer than I realized, but officially, I think through like Passover, and my own capacity versus like where each of my team members were. And I'm always shifting and changing things, but protecting my own energy as the leader of it all was really important. And then it started to really integrate into all of the team. And I saw something happening. And as that growth was happening, at first, before I didn't do it, there was a lot of complexity. But as I was doing it, it started to really like evolve over itself. And the realization was is that you cannot continue scaling by just doing everything yourself, reacting to things, relying on your memory, because eventually the business is layered in things that it can't sustain. So what's the bigger lesson? As business grows, complexity increases and decision overlap, visibility weakens, and eventually growth creates pressure instead of clarity. And because real leadership is not holding everything, it's a structure that can support it. So going back into, a prime example for myself, when I bought this home that I'm living in now, I knew my structure can cover it, but exactly how it was fitting into the structure, yet I still had to like edit and curate my processes and systems in order to keep up with it. Because, right, like, something crazy that happened out here, um, we have to take out the garbage. Like, and in my New York home, there was curbside service. So there's all these like little silly things that could happen. And it's like outside of paying bills, the other day I saw my mailman and he was like, your mailbox is full. And I was like, oh, okay, so let me take it. And I didn't really care, because most of my stuff is on auto pay. And it's in sync with how I get paid so that the bills are covered. And the actual mail, yeah, I have to go on paperless, more stuff and those things. And that's another thing that just had to happen with my 9 foundations that I didn't do. So I'm a living, breathing example, and I want to share this with you too. So what does bookkeeping does? It organizes things, it reconciles, but it still tells you what already happened. Okay. It does not solve when there's entity coordination and operational pressures, ongoing decision making, and the visibility of this, right? So like a lot of people are like, hey, yeah, I have a CPA, and the role is critical, but it really is, what are you using that role for? Okay. So what's the actual problem is that it's the oversight, it's the visibility. It's not just checking things off. So in real estate, here are the things that, oh, my slides just, oh, guys, whoops, that was weird. Sorry about that. Then that was like a good flow. Hang out while I reload these slides. I don't know what happened. It just all clicked off. And but the slide that we were up to was talking about the actual things in real estate that we have to do. And I saw it with my life, re-protecting myself, re-updating my entities, the address, the type of entity, a living trust, like all of these things. And I was like, wow, like I get to do it for myself. It's not just for my team. or my client's team and those types of things. And when you think of it that way, like I get to do it too, that it's an honor and it's grateful. It's a whole different way of living. And I say this to say too, is that when things shift and change, it's not just about the win, it's how you hold it after. And when I became a landlord, it really, for me at first, I wasn't like thrilled with the title. I'll just be like honest. Like some people crave it's like, oh wow, being the landlord, you get the money and all these different things. It wasn't about that. For me, it was around recreating my daughter's life and giving us a different type of life that we didn't have in New York so that she can get the college dream that she wanted and needed, and that was going to set her up for the future. And it was another shift and change that I had to do for myself. And I share this from an element of my own heart of things, is because we have to connect it back to our why of why we're doing things. We have this current client case now where we're working on things and all of the decisions were because of tax. And not only was it just because of tax, it was really because they thought it was like going to hold the business well or whatever, but it was outside things that really told them what to do. It wasn't their own decisions. And unless you really connect with that why on why you're doing it, it really is not the same. And when I started to connect back, like, okay, past like all these things with my daughter, I started to say like, wow, okay, I have two homes, I don't just get to be that passive way of clients doing things, or helping somebody else and in those types of ways. So my slides are back, which is great. Okay, so where are we? So these are the different parts: investor relationships, fragmented reporting, overlapping decisions, moving cash flow. So the difference between reporting and management, right? It kind of speaks for itself. And the financial management includes, and I want you to take this slide from a process orient, okay? Monthly visibility, ongoing oversight, proactive planning, decision support, how that can really help you and make it your own. And the real issue is that the portfolio keeps moving, but see this tax season and what the cash pressure is, I want you to look at those and be like, how can that shift and change for me? And what's available for me today to do different? So what's consistent oversight changes when visibility becomes ongoing, trends before problems, pressure before urgency. You get the shift? And when this happens, there's 4 stages that I really want to jump to: clarity, structure, strategy, and expansion. Can you trust your numbers? Is the financial system organized to support growth? Are decisions being made proactively during the year? Is this business protecting wealth as it scales? Now, I'll be honest with you, I sometimes have developers come in and they're really in all of the stages. I have people who are beginning and they're like, okay, I want to follow the system. I have nothing. I can have people who are in the several 8 figures, several 0 figures, like all of the different numbers. But no matter where you are, it has to follow it. Because in order for wealth to continue to go up the ladder, like think about it this way, okay? When you go up the stairs, you have to continue going to get upstairs to get to the next floor. And it's the same thing with numbers. It's the same analogy if you think about it. If you didn't have the structure of the steps to support you to go upstairs, you're not going to have the strategy to get to that next step. And how can you expand? By being able to go up those steps to have another floor and so on. And it's the same thing in business. So let's dive into these self-assessment questions and take the minute. And I'm starting to do this on every live now, because it's really, really important how this takes back into you and really make this your own. And the no points to the gap of where you are. Clues and keys to your next steps. It's not that you did something wrong from these questions. It's that now these are the clues and keys to your next steps. And I want to invite you from today, take your next action and come along with me for the journey. Whether you are wanting a quick conversation or if you're ready to start an assessment, go dive deeper. Or if you're ready and you have a different way and you're like, you know what, Margot, I have already specific things. And then this one is kind of where we dive in. This is a fee. The self-assessment is free. The quick conversation is free. However, I encourage you that lots of times, because this information is already elemented in a way that it will speak to you, most of the time clients really jump in and take the direct clarity because they're ready to just get answers and do the next steps. And if that little bit of resistance around money and the fees come in, I encourage you to say to yourself, it's like, where do you want to go outside of what's happening right now? And that's the beauty of what we could accomplish. I am so excited to offer you these options today. And as our options grow, there's different things to gain together. And what I will say is that outside of this, let's build your financial management layer. And I look forward for you to come onto the call and decide which step. And if you're not sure, please comment. Wow, Colin, thank you. I'm glad that you enjoyed this today. As always, any questions, as always, let me know. And I appreciate that you coming on, whether you're alive or on the replay. Keep coming on, and I'm going to keep doing this, and I cannot wait to hear your feedback. Talk soon, and thanks for listening.